Hello world, Liu here with part 15 of the Python from 0 to 1 series. So in a previous video, we talked about while loops and writing them this way. But today, let's talk about the break keyword, what it does to both for loops and while loops, and afterwards, let's discuss an alternative way to write our while loop. So firstly, let's talk about our break keyword. So for I in range 5 colon, and here if we break, our loop will just stop immediately. So let's say I'm going to print I in my for loop body, and if I decide to run this, nothing will actually happen because the moment I go into my for loop, a break happens and my entire loop will simply stop. So similarly, let's say I have a while loop while true, and if I break and if I run this, nothing will happen because the moment I go into my while loop body, a break statement runs and the entire while loop will stop. So because of this, we usually write our break statement inside an if block, which is inside our loop, so that our loops don't just break immediately. So let's say for I in range 5. So here let's print I, and if I is equals to 2, we break. So let's say for whatever reason, we want to break our for loop when I is equals to 2. So if I run this, I'm going to get 0, 1, then 2. So let's break this down. So here we have a range 5, which will generate the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here, when I is equals to 0, we print I, and next we check if I is equals to 2. So here we have a false, and because this is a false, we don't break, so nothing happens, don't break. So next, I equals to 1, similarly we print I, and still the condition is false and don't break. Thirdly, we have I equals to 2, so similarly we just print I, and right now this condition is equals to true. So at this point, break statement runs, and because the break statement runs, our for loop will stop, and here there's no iteration after this. So next, let's discuss an alternative way to write our while loop. So let's say we want to count from 1 to 5. So n is equals to 1, while n is less than 5, we print n, and n plus equals to 1. So let's run this to make sure that it counts from 1 to 5. And here we have it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the way that we are used to writing while loops. However, let's comment this out and let's try to write this in an alternative way using break. So here, similarly, n is equals to 1. And next, I'm going to do this while true, colon. So in our while loop body, we have print n, and n will plus equals to 1. So if I run this, it will be an infinite while loop. So here we can see that n will keep increasing and increasing until I stop it with my Ctrl C. So next, let's inject a conditional break statement. So next, if n is equals to 5, we do a break, and let's see if this is correct. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this actually needs to be more than 5. So once again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's actually break this down once again. So here, n is equals to 1. And because this condition is true, we will just print n. So we print 1, and now n is equals to 2. So now we check whether n is more than 5. So n is more than 5 is false. So nothing happens. So n equals to 2. We print 2, and now n is equals to 3. And next we check for this statement whether n is more than 5. So n is more than 5 is still false, so no break. So similarly, n is equals to 3, and we print 3, and now n is equals to 4 because we add 1 to n. Still, n more than 5 is false. And right now we move on to the next iteration. So n is equals to 4, and we print 4. And now n is equals to 5 because we add 1 to n. And n more than 5 is still false because 5 is not more than 5. So next, n is equals to 5, and we simply print 5. And now n is equals to 6. And at this point, n is more than 5 will now evaluate to true. So this one is true, and break statement happens. So because the break statement happens, our entire while loop will stop. So while loop stops. And because the while loop stops here, we'll only print 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So here, you can either write your while loop in this way, or you can choose to write it in this way. For me, I prefer this way a little bit more, but this is purely due to personal preference. So once again, thanks for watching, and hopefully this was clear and easy to understand. See you in the next one.